So, I wanted to show you how I start this game and set it up for writing the Uncus story, and why I do the things that I do at the beginning, like preset his skills, etc., so that his skill set is on a par with what he should be for his experience and education in his earlier life before coming to this point in the game. So first of all, we will go to Mara and we will pick out...
Approach, my child, and choose where your new life shall begin.
We shall pick out the appropriate start to get us to the island. And that's right at the end here, just before surprise me, the second to last start, and it's called I was on board a ship to Skyrim that wrecked off the coast of an island. So we'll press that and then we shall go and have a short sleep, and as everything works in a proper way, then we should wake up on the island. And here we are, and it's just telling us here that we've arrived at the island after being wrecked in a storm, and a few things that we could do to try and keep ourselves alive is to try and make a hatchet out of a strong tree branch and a sharp stone, but I shall cover how we will do that later. So we shall go to begin, and then our first thing I get to do is, would I like to set your skill set? This is where I set up my character to be as he should be for his experience and education, as I said earlier on. So we'll press yes, and then we can pick from thief, mage and warrior skills. Now we'll be using mainly the thief and the warrior skills, and the mage skills we'll be using none of at the present moment, because this particular character uses no magic whatsoever. He's just a simple hunter and a scout, and that he's very good at, but magic is something that is way beyond his pay scale. So, first of all, we'll go to thief, and then we'll do these one after another. Now with light armour, he's fairly good with that, but not that experienced, so we'll be setting that to around 15, just to give him a little bit of an extra start, because he's had a little bit of experience of using small light armour, etc., but most of the time he's usually in his normal clothes when he goes hunting, and which are far more designed for stealth than protection. And now we shall go to the thief again. Alchemy, another skill that he is fairly well versed in as far as medicinal herbs and things like that are concerned. He can do that, and he knows which mushrooms are edible, which plants are edible. So that's all more to do with survival skills and actual potion making. So we're going to give him for that also 15. So that's that done, and then we'll go through to the next one, and that's sneak. Now, seeing as this guy is a hunter and a scout, this is one of his main skills, the things he's most good at, and we're going to set this, and later on archery, 260, which might sound very high, but you have to remember we're giving him the skill level, but we're not giving him the perks. Those he'll have to earn as he goes through every time he levels up and choose which one to use. It just makes it a little bit quicker for him to catch up. And I'm nearly there at 60 now. That one we'll keep. Now we'll go here. Lock picking, we'll give him 10 for that, because he's moderately good at that, but it's not really a thing he's using every day. He's got some knowledge of lock picking, but not an awful lot. Pickpocketing, now he's never done that in his life. I think I'll just leave that at 1. Thief, pickpocketing, speech. That is something he's reasonably good at. So we'll move that up to 20. Because as I say, I'm trying to create a character that's got a little bit of age and quite a bit of experience to him already. And I feel that then he's entitled to have slightly higher, so in some cases, very much higher skill levels. Now, we've finished now with the thief things. So we go back to the menu, and then we'll go to the warrior. Now, smithing is a thing he doesn't do very much of, but he can smith to the level of iron and steel. So I'm going to give him 10 for this, and that's where I'm going to leave it. Because, to be honest with you, he's not going to do very much more than making iron or steel weapons and bits and pieces for his survival. And anything more complicated than that is really beyond his knowledge and skill. He is in no way an crafting expert. He's an expert in his own field, and other things he has a slight knowledge of. So next after that is archery. Now this is another one we're going to give him 60 for, because this is his bread and butter. He's been doing it since he was 7 years old, and by now he should be an expert, or as sometimes they call them, sleepy-eyed killers. There we go, all the way up to 60. There, that's that. And then we go back to warrior again. Heavy armor, don't use it. Never use it in his life. Leave it as 0, as 0. Then we go here. Two-handed. He will on occasion use a two-handed weapon, and the strength that he's built with his bowmanship has also given him a slight advantage in using two-handed weapons, but his skill is less than his physical strength with the weapon. So I'll give him for this also 15. Done. And then here we go. Block is a thing that he's reasonably good at, especially with single-handed bladed weapons. So we'll go with this to 20. And then we've got one-handed, and that we're going to give him 25 because he's a little more proficient at that. But as I say, the bow is his chief and primary weapon. Because later, when we get a little further with this character, you'll discover that he's a dual wielder, and he usually uses a tomahawk-like hand axe and short CX. Now one-handed. Now that's all of those things had. Now go back, just quick look through the mage things that you can do. You can for all of these you can set a particular level, but for those I'm not going to set a level at all. He does none of this sort of magic. He does no enchanting. The only thing he's really even slightly magical about is a little bit of alchemy, and that is only really enough to keep him alive and for things for survival purposes, and nothing to do with making potions of a very complicated sort or buffs and things like that. He's not really proficient at that. He's just pure medicinal and survival things. Now I can get to set the level of my health, magic and stamina. Health I'm going to set to 150. Whoops, one too far. There. Magicka I'm going to set back to 80 because he doesn't use it. He just doesn't use it at all. So he's got very little experience here. His stamina, however, I'm going to set to 250. This is because of his training and constant use of a bowed weapon. He has built up a large strength and stamina by using a bow, and believe me, that's the thing that you really need for a bow, is to be strong and have a lot of stamina, especially across your back and shoulders and forearms. So there we go, that's up to 250, and that's pretty much it for setting him up. And then we go into the particular mods that I've got activated for this, that we can make settings for. Advanced mining, that is a mod that gives you control of how productive different kinds of mining situations are, and also shows you other things that you can do. Always use smithing skills. Now that I don't do because he's not a smithing character. Mod management, okay. Debug mode off. There's not really anything particularly interesting there. But this is where it gets more interesting. This is the different types of mining situations. Surface level outcrops of ore of different kinds give a certain percentage of ore, and I'll just put that up one just to show you how it goes. And then this is special. That's something special that you find possibly to do with a quest or an unusual ore sort, and you can set that to another number, and I'm just going to leave it there at 5. In caves it's set to 3, but personally I think it should be somewhere similar to the mines, because they're a similar situation. It's just that one is man-made and one is natural. And they've got mines set to 10 here, so I'm going to set the caves to 8. There. And then here, if you go here, these are the different tools that you're going to come across that you can use in various places in Skyrim. You probably won't find very many of them here because I don't think they've been added to this this particular mod, the island. And here we have the wood chopping, and this is for mining. And this will show your current tool set that you'll be allowed to use. And actually, to be honest with you, I haven't really done very much of that. And if you haven't yearning to have a look, fiddle around with it as you'd like, but that's pretty well all I do with it at the moment. Then we'll go back and out and back to here and back in. We'll set up a few hotkeys, and I always start with I need, and the first thing I always do is go to basics, and I knock the time scale right back down. This makes the days longer, and it just gives you more time to run around. It's not that the sun's going down every 5 minutes. It gives you a little longer day. You can do more in one day than normal in Skyrim. You can, if you wanted to, you can go all the way the other direction and make the days very short. It's the higher the number, the shorter the days, and the lower the number, the longer the days. And I prefer it this way around, with longer days. So that will be accept. This I usually knock down one level as well, just because I like to have these different types of what you call needs things in the game. but I don't like them to be too obtrusive either. I'd like them be able to see that I have to eat and I have to drink and I have to sleep, but I don't want the game telling me every 5 minutes eat something, drink something, go to sleep. I'd like it to be more fluid and farther apart, that it feels natural, more natural. This is quite a nice one. You can choose to have a visible water skin somewhere on your body, and I always put it at the back. That'll mean it'll be in the small of your back behind your character. And eat and drink animations, I usually keep that disabled because it just takes up time when you're doing something else. Or you can automate eating and drinking if you wish, and if you do that, you'll see here the most filling first, and that means that if you're eating or drinking, it'll go to whatever's in your inventory, which is most nutritious or most thirst quenching, and you'll get that first to get your need down as quick as possible. And if you haven't got very nutritious or thirst quenching items in your inventory, then it'll select the best it can, and then you'll probably have to hit the button a couple of times extra to get to the level you need. But personally, I like to do it myself instead of doing it to automatic. But if you do pick that, you do pick between most filling and least filling, so you can use up with other things you don't like or whatever. But let's go here and we'll start doing the hotkeys. Now first, the eat key. I always use the plus on the number pad. That's really up to you which you use, but I just find this the most, shall we say, handy for me. And then the drink is the minus on the number pad, and then the sit hotkey is the star on the number pad. And next to that, you've got a backslash key, and I'll be using that later on for a hotkey so that I can look at my condition in eating and drinking, whether I need to eat and drink in the near future or something like that. This is for do with followers. You can followers are simulated or disabled or default, and there's just 3 different versions of what they'll do. Simulated is that they'll pretend to eat and drink when you're eating, and meals with followers is also something similar. You can have different levels, and I just leave these as they are in the original installation. The only thing I really do is knock these down the same as mine, down to 3, so we're all on the same boat, if you say what I mean, following in the same direction. You can give your followers septimus, and they'll buy their own food when they're within the walls of a city or a settlement. If there's a store or an inn or somewhere like that where they can buy food, then they will buy it. These are different types of gameplay. Substance impairment, that means both. That is skooma and alcohol will be detrimental to your performance if you've taken them recently, and it'll over time wear off. And then this is for vampire players. You can play as a hybrid, you can play as mortal, or you can play as purebred, and that's up to you and your level of skill of your choice of choice of play style. No salt requirement. If you don't want to use the salt requirement in recipes, then you click it here, and it is a thing really that you just have to turn on and off as needed, and I usually don't need to use it at all. It's if you look down the bottom here, if it will stay up. I can't show you with my pointer, but if you look at the bottom of the screen, it says after enabling this option, any item you consume will bring up an option to categorize it. Return to this menu and toggle this option off after you've finished categorizing. Just as you want to rearrange how nutritious or how thirst quenching different items are, then this is the part of the mod that you need to use to do it. And I must emphasize, you only really need to put it on at the time you want to recategorize, and once you've finished, as it says here in the caption at the bottom, turn it off, and you won't be asked anymore, but it will continue to use the levels that you have designated, and it'll all come through a different menu system and everything that you can see exactly what's going on. I need difficulty. I always put this in. I think it's a bit naughty of the player to run around picking people's gardens without asking permission. So this one I do use, but I don't use either of these two because it's really just a burden, to be honest with you. I find that if this is activated, that food removal or food store spoilage is reactivated, it just makes me running around trying to keep all that sort of thing in order all the time and not having too much time to play the game. Gameplay, unknown water, that is, if I tick this box, then there are certain places like caves and some places on the map where it's an shall we say a possibly poisonous environment, then water then will be detrimental to your health in place from doing something to relieve your thirst. And then fast flowing rivers and streams and things like that, and obviously clear pools of water, that sort of thing, they remain normal as normally would be used in the game. And this one is your health and magic and stamina will degrade by random values every hour after about 2 days without water, 3 days without sleep until death. If dangerous diseases is enabled, the same effect will occur at stage 4 of a disease. Also a choice. Sometimes I use it and sometimes I don't. And to be honest with you, most of the time I don't. Raw food is harmful. That I think is possibly a good thing, because it is very possible that if you eat raw meat from animals, not only animals killed in the wild, but also quite a lot of domesticated animals, you've got a really good chance of getting an infection of worms, which isn't in the long run very good for you. So I always leave that in as well. Harmful raw food. And here, alcohol dehydrates, as in the real world. Drinking alcohol really doesn't sate your thirst. It quite often makes you more thirsty than when you started. So I tick that little box, and then this is where I'm going to use the other hotkey. Check status, and there I use the backward slash as I mentioned earlier. This is more to do with if you want to play in third person perspective, and I need text notifications will appear in the upper left hand corner detailing the state of your needs when intervals your needs need attention. Well, that is actually quite handy, because it'll warn you if you're running low on food or something, food or water, with also a textual warning, as well as the little idle icons that are down in the bottom corner here. I like to use this one, colour based, because then you can get then progressive colour on the icon for whether you need to eat or drink or sleep, how imminent it's getting. Track diseases, which is also handy. It'll show you what diseases you got when you catch them, and when you've cured them, it'll also give you a little message. And then there's a guide here at the end, which is where you'll find information and all the sort of things you want to know about this area. There's quite a few different things, like water kegs and water barrels and water buckets that you can make, and water skins you can make, and water barrels and kegs and water buckets will collect water or have a water source built in that you can use to fill your water skins without having to go and find somewhere outside to put them in. Now we'll just come out of there and back to here, then start again, system, mod configuration again, and the next one I like to do is campfire. That's because I'm going to do some hot keys for this as well. Let's first go here, game building campfire, realistic, which is what I use, or quick. Quick means that it'll just, if you say light a fire, it'll be lit. Realistic, then you have to go through the process of putting tinder in and putting small branches or twigs in, and then striking a flint, starting a basic fire, and then building it up with branches and firewood to get a bigger fire going to cook on. I like to keep it realistic. It's just a fun thing to do, I think, and it's really up to you. You can leave it on the other one, or put it here. This tells you what you do in the tent if you go to sleep in the tent that you've built, which is also something you can craft. There's also something you can craft in the crafting system of this. And then here with the hotkeys. Now the first one is create item, but I tend to put build fire first. Sorry, not build fire first. Harvest wood first, and that I use arrow up for. Then build campfire, arrow down, then create item, arrow left, and then instincts, arrow right. And then you have all the 4 keys that you're going to need for this mod, really. And this is also just a list of things that you and your followers do within a camp or a tent when you sleep, or when you go and sit down somewhere or something. And yeah, just read through them and tick things wherever you like it. Now this is instincts, and these are the different things that you can get to come up when you press the instincts button. Find tinder items, find flora items, hear creature movement of smell dead. When that is particularly useful if you're been hunting in an area where there's tall grass or other vegetation, or lots of rocks where things can fall next to and under and behind, and you have multiple cadavers or multiple animals that you've hunted, you can make it easier to find their bodies. And this is one that I don't check off. It just, if you use this sense, it shows you the direction you need to go for the next quest object that you quest objective that you have on your list. But yeah, you can just as easily do that using the compass if you're using the compass, and leave it like that. And then these are different side effects that are used when you change between screens, etc. And that's another preference thing. And then let's have a look here. When you do things that are shall we say to do with the campfire mod actions, then you can earn points for various skills, and if you have those, then you can redistribute your camp skills, etc. And it is in another system within Campfire to track your followers, which is also a toggle. You can turn it on or off. And this is if you've got equipping overhaul installed, and it'll recognize, this game will recognize it, and it will become this will become into use. And then you have a help thing, which is really just you can get information from the different things that you want to know about the mod and how it works and how to use it here. And then the thing called profiles, where you can set different profiles with different characters, so that you can change between those when you change from character. Yeah, we'll go back out of this one, back to here, and then we'll go here, because it's always a good idea when you finish configuring something to go all the way out and all the way back in, because it resets the hard. If you do two or more of these configuration exercises in a row, it tends to overload the system in some way or other, because then sometimes if you try and get out of the menus, it either doesn't record what you've done, or it freezes. Now we've done Hunterborn, we've done Campfire, Harvest, redone. I don't think there's very much to do in that, actually, if I remember right. No, there's not really very much to do in that. That's not really very interesting, that one. That's just quite up first one. Now, Hunterborn is one of the other main mods for this. This has got various things here, but the first thing you have to do is start Hunterborn. Exit the here, okay, and then Hunterborn is now activated. And if you look up in the top corner, there's different things that have activated that you can use, and those you can also hotkey. And we shall go back again. Hunterborn features. Field dress. To be honest with you, I de-tick all of these. Just for time, to get time working going along a bit more easily. This thing, it doesn't hold you up too long for doing this, because sometimes for some of these things, if you take all the time it tells you that you need to do these things, you soon get through your day, and suddenly you'll be in the middle of a night where you still be trying to clean all your kills, and you'll be needing to eat, drink, and go to sleep, and it's just annoying. Then we've got tweaks. This is what happens if you activate a dead animal. Click on fresh kill prompt. click on fresh kill while sneaking, prompt, click on dress skill of a dressed kill. It'll ask for a prompt task what you want to do, and the same thing if you're sneaking. It just that as you come up to the animal that you've killed in some way or other, you click on the animal, and then you'll get a menu, and it'll get skin the pelt. Then you get harvest the meat, and then you'll get collect ingredients. So that's things like teeth and claws and antlers and intestinal organs that could be useful for crafting or magic, or should I say alchemy. Pelt values, this will control the value of the pelts of the animals that you hunt. Material yield, that will control how much sorry, that will control how much materials you can gather from one dead animal, and for different animals it's different to different things. Then the one underneath is the level of meat that you get from it, and this is quite actually all set to I feel a level that is realistic. If you want more value of more items, then be my guest and change the levels. I personally keep it like that though. And then you've got custom yield. That is usually if you've got mods that bring in animals that aren't in the base game, then you can often do something with the meat yield to get it more to what you want. Okay, so look, you got here different levels of what you can get, and this actually I think is rather strange. It says realistic, and it then says generous above and custom underneath, and here it's got conservative and single cut. To be honest with you, I'll put that one at the top, but never mind. Idiosyncrasies as well, they put the game together themselves, as of course the prerogative of the mod author. And then we've got knives and merchants. This is hunting knives. You will need a hunting knife to be able to effectively skin and butcher the animals you kill. And at the moment it says how many. It says none for knives at merchants. Well, to be honest with you, I think they're absolutely damn ridiculous. I think they'd be one of the commonest things in the whole of Skyrim. So I put to common, which means that you can buy low-level hunting knives at almost anywhere, and the higher ones are reserved to specialist merchants and higher levels smiths who can make them for you if you're using the right mods, because there is a mod called honed metal, and it removes the need for a player to do his own smithing or enchanting, because using that mod you can pay a smith or an enchanter to make whatever you want him to make, and if it's within his skill power he can make it for you for a price. You have to pay for it, of course, but it saves you the trouble of going through the grind of getting your smithing and enchanting levels up to a standard where it is worthwhile using the equipment you've got at the level you are. Now you can go and buy the stuff you need at a smith, and you can, depending on how you set it up, you can make it possible for you to get end game level equipment when you're still only at a level 1, but that does mean that you have to go and assemble a lot of money to pay for it. So it's sort of balances itself out. So you go through the game and earn more money, you can buy more expensive equipment and improve your chances of success in your career. But anyway, that's a sidebar there to what we're doing here with this. And then let's have a look. There is, when you click on an dead animal you've hunted, an option to do a manual loot, and what that means is this is the vanilla version of taking the hide and the meat and eventually the ingredients that are in it. When you're at lower levels, it's sometimes advantageous to leave this on, because when you skin an animal and when you first start, you make a complete mess of it usually, and well, you just get ruined pelts, etc., which you can make leather thongs with, but you can make very little else with them usually. So I usually leave manual loot on until I'm up to about level 10 or something like that, when I'm got a reasonable skill at skinning and dressing and butchering hunted animals, simply because I've got a character that I'm using that is supposed to be an experienced hunter, so I feel that it's allowable to do that. If it was a cold begin on a new playthrough with a new character starting at level 0 and no enhancements, then I would turn it off, simply because then you are starting as somebody that doesn't know anything and you're having to build your skills up. Hunting knife required. That means if you want to kill, if you want to clean and butcher the animals that you hunt, then you need a hunting knife to do so. If you leave that uncrossed, then you don't need a hunting knife. But I believe that that should be done. But there's one small advantage: if you're a Khajiit or an what's the reptilian things? Can't remember the names. In other words, or at least any character that has claws, then you can click this and you can use your claws as a hunting knife. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to turn this off, and this is a simple time saving thing. What happens when you leave those all on, when you do your skinning, cleaning and butchering, etc., you get blood splash across your screen, you get an animation that the thing goes through whilst you're doing it, and the screen fades to black and then comes back again. And if you do it without those boxed in, you get a short animation, and it just does it a bit quicker, because I don't want to fill my day up with doing things like that when I could be adventuring. This is to enable different things within the game. This is a good one to enable if you've got animals and creatures and things that are not in the vanilla game through mods. Then if you do this, you can then when you encounter these animals, you can classify them as a type of animal, which will be explained in the menu that comes up, that will fit in with the hunting and the skinning and the collection of meat and ingredients from that animal. And so, as I haven't got any of those, I shall be leaving that unticked. But if you do have any strange animals that aren't usually in the game, then you should maybe a good idea to tick that button. This is different perks that you can get, and these are the perks that I was talking about for some of the things that you can do in camp in Hunterborn, and the botany perk for foraging, which improves your chances of finding useful plants for either making tinder for lighting fires, or edible fruits and flowers, etc. And this is the same thing, really. This one, imagine, enables savage arrows, and that means that they give a bleed percentage after they've made their initial hit on the animal. And this is also a nice one. This just gives you a few more recipes of things you can make, like soups and stews. And this is how long they stay warm after you've made them. So if you happen to be using something that's like hypothermia, then you can use it to keep your temperature up in cold conditions. Now, hotkeys for Hunterborn, have we done those yet? No, we haven't done those yet. Now, I don't really bother with these because you can do that all through the activation menu, and it's not really any easier to do it with hotkeys, I find. Because if you have too many hotkeys, then you've got to remember what they are as well. You've got two choices here. You can make hotkeys for these different things, which in some things like forage and tracking is fairly handy. For the other things, not so much. But it's really a personal thing which you prefer. But I usually try to do forage because that's something you're going to be using, especially in the beginning, quite a lot, because you can use that for finding useful items in the area where you're moving through with your character that time, that can help you survive, basically. If you put a hotkey for that, you can hit the hotkey, and then first it'll just look for anything, but it won't be specialised in any way. And as you gain experience, you get the option to either look for anything or specialise in, I need to look for flowers or alchemy ingredients, or I would like to look for firewood, or I would like to look for useful objects and things like that. And you'll find that as you use it and the things you get with it, you can craft a reasonable amount of bits and pieces to get you going until you move further up and can craft better items. So I'm going to put a hotkey on this one, and I'm going to put this one on this sign. I don't quite know what you want to call it, but I'll call it the comma button. And scrimshaw is another one that you can put in. I shall put the full stop there. Taxonomy I won't bother with. Sense direction I won't bother with. Tracking is what I do like to use. And then I shall. Oh no, I can't use that one. Just a minute. Then I will use this one. And that's the this sign. Can't remember what that's called, to be honest with you. Never mind, shows my ignorance. That's that, and then all sorts of different things for how many skins you've skinned and how many harvesting level and forage level and all that sort of thing. And it's not really important because you can not really do much to change it. This allows also things like charses, giant spiders, spriggans, trolls, werewolves and dragons to be huntable animals that produce appropriate gifts, shall we say. And this option here, corporeal dragons, if you tick that, then you get dragon meat, but you get one hell of a lot of dragon meat, so one dragon will probably feed you for a month. And you get certain other ingredients, etc., from dragons that you wouldn't get all normally in a vanilla dragon kill. Compatibility, that's with how compatible it is with other mods that you might have involved. And as you can see here, I've got the 3 DLCs that's there ticked, and then hunting in Skyrim have I also got inloaded, and that's just an enhancement to the hunting experience, which I find that's really a mod you can use or not use. It's your own discretion. And it sees that campfire is loaded, so it'll interact with campfire as a fun, and it'll see that SK script extender is installed, so that it'll also work with. And these are different things for troubleshooting if you get problems with the different thing. The debug mode to try and find out information about things that are wrong with the game, and you can reapply original templates and start again with what you've got in there. And this is profiles similar to in Campfire, where you've got presets of what you've done. Now we'll come back out again and back in. I'll go to configuration. What else should we do? Immersive HUD. Let's have a look, see if we got yeah, HUD key X. Use the key to do that. This will get rid of the HUD in-game HUD, including the compass bar at the top, and it's more a thing really that you use if you don't want to use the HUD to navigate with, or if you want to take screenshots. It gets rid of the clutter on the screen and lets you take a clear screenshot without distractions of the different bars and information icons on the screen. Now it says that Sky U is on. Active effects always on. Not a good thing. Just these are all preferences of different things you can do with it, but that's all things that really are a preference for you as the player, and you'll have to work out which is best for you. Oops, wrong one. Now, gear, nearly finished, and then basic water. Mod options of realistic water. This is a thing you got waves in Skyrim. Just take that away, the waves are less realistic. This makes the blacksmith's forge water, the quenching bucket, or what you want to call it, look better. So might as well do that. It's probably something to be avoided if you've got a low-end computer that hasn't got the very much relatively small amount of processing memory, etc. But for higher end, it just might enhance your game slightly. And then they come out of there, and then go back in, and then Sky U. There's another nice one to do. I'd like to change this to Celtic. I just follow and find the icons that they use slightly more interesting. And then there are all sorts of controls and things which most people don't ever use. And then I go to this one, Skybirds. This is a nice one. I've got a mod running that spawns at various places on the map, songbirds basically, and it's just a thing to brighten up and make more realistic the environment that you're moving. And it's a spawn at each spawn point. At the moment, it's on maximum of 5 birds, but I always set that to 10 because I like to have lots of birds running around. And spawn limiter 60. Now I've got a fairly high-end machine, so I can put in quite a large number. So I put in trying to get 300. I'll leave it at that. So that's the maximum amount of birds in game that can be added. As soon as I'm only on the island at the moment, I'll leave it at that. I may make that higher once we finally get back to the mainland. Allow birds to spawn in cities, that speaks for itself. Flight speed, song frequency, you can up this or down this whichever way you want. If you want the birds to sing more, higher number, less, lower number. And then one or two advanced things which aren't that interesting, except for the fact that it's here allows birds to nest in trees, so that you see birds nesting in trees, and it just looks more realistic. And that's actually around about it really. There's most of the other things I just leave alone and let them get on with their job as shown by the mod author. So I suppose it's time to turn this off. That's the hide the hotkey X, and that's what happens when I turn it off. So the only things that are left now at the bottom of the screen is the time to eat and time to drink and time to sleep icons, and the 2 icons that show that the microphone and the recording is active. But I'll call this the end of the day, and we will stop now. So, and good luck with your mods.